My first day in Krakow. Last night was fun, but just doing a walking day today in Krakow, Poland. Very excited to be here. Fun people, very good architectures of the building. Great to be here. So, walking around, checking things. Let's see. There's a free walking tour here around 3 o'clock, 30 minutes from now. Probably gonna get some coffee or something in me to get some energy. Hordes of kids and students.
Good morning.
Morning. Krakow. The spelling starts with K, but seen some instances where it starts with C. Probably was modified sometime. This is I guess, the church where they blow the trumpet in the night or every 1 hour. Got chili here. I got this huge donut. Seems like the most popular one here with pistachio inside it. So I'm gonna sit down and enjoy the views and then get some energy to walk around. Free walking tour in English in front of this basilica.
The rain or something at the end of the tour to not So if somebody, so don't worry, I will count all of the participants. Oh yeah, the bell is saying that it will be played very soon. So after there is the window on the right side, that will be open. We will see the trumpeter that will play this melody. So you can do it. I will do the maths in this moment.
And it is not recording.
Yes, is a real person who's late. Skąd pani jest? Tak, freeworking powiedział. Oj, na tym, mega. Właśnie. Wietrze czasem już w Polsce. Maj jest tak straszny, jeśli chodzi o wiatry. Smaller city called Olkusz. Maybe for some Polish participants it's known. 40 kilometers from here, so the same region of Poland. And apart from being the guide, I'm also archaeologist. As archaeologist, I work in Guatemala, making some excavations related to the Maya culture. So every year I spend something like 2 months in Guatemala, and later we come back here making some kind of description work. And in this moment, this time, we have some time to earn some money, right? Because doing archaeology is not the best thing. Talking about the salary, it's something like doing your hobby, actually, right? So to survive, to be able to pay all our bills, we usually do something else. So between the excavations I do 966, because this year is considered as the beginning of Polish history. In this year, the first Polish prince, that was called Mieszko I, was baptized, and also very soon the first capital of Poland in Gniezno, that is located in central part of Poland, was established. And all this was a very good way to unite the Slavic tribes that used to live in these territories, but not everyone was very happy with this imposed faith, with the new rules, so pagans formed very quickly, and they destroyed the first capital of Poland. And later, in first part of 11th century, the second capital was established here in Krakow. And two main reasons for establishing it here were the existence of the trade route in the city, and also the existence of the salt mines in the surroundings. But unfortunately, this capital was destroyed very soon too, because in first part of 13th century, Mongol tribes came here and made 3 big invasions. And especially during the last one, Krakow was completely destroyed, the king was decapitated, so the next king had to decide what to do. And as Krakow was a very good place to stay the capital of Poland, people of power decided to stay here. But they also decided to make this city more modern. And in this moment of the history in Europe, modern cities were founded on so-called Magdeburg law. That means the rules from Germany to create and organize modern cities. So the same thing was done here, and a lot of people from Germany, like officials, commerciants, also architects, came here and created here a pretty big community. Apart from the German people, also a lot of Jewish people came in that time to Krakow, because Poland in general and also Lithuania in this moment of history were two countries very well known of huge religious tolerance in Europe. So persecuted Jewish people could find here their shelter for over 6 centuries. And for example, in 16th century, over 80% of Jewish people from all around the world used to live in these Polish-Lithuanian territories. This 16th century was a very, very good moment in Polish history in general because of the economic and political situation, also because of development of the science and art. But unfortunately, we have to say that it was the last good moment of Polish history, in Polish history, because since 17th century, we had in these territories a lot of conflicts and wars. And in this 17th century, there were 3 main conflicts, one with Sweden, the other one with Russia, and the third one with Ottoman Empire, so the part of Turkey. And especially this conflict with Sweden made Poland that weak that later other European powers started to use this situation to occupy these territories. And in 18th century, there were 3 partitions of Poland when Russia, Prussia, so the German territories nowadays, and Austro-Hungarian Empire divided Poland into 3 pieces and occupied them. Poland lost its independence for 123 years and regained it after the First World War. But very, very soon the Second World War had started, so the situation in the city and in other parts of the country was more complicated and worse. And we will talk about these conflicts, these moments of the history, the situation during these hard moments, and of course not only hard moments. During this tour, I already finished this very, very like hyper short version of Polish history because we don't have time to talk about it in details. But if you have any questions here, if you want to expand some topics, some parts of this Polish history, let me know. We can do it, of course. So do you have some questions so far? If there is no question, we can start to talk about the history of this city then. And I think that we can organize the tour in this way to be here, because this melody is played every hour. I would like to be here at 4, like before 4 p.m. to hear it again, to explain you everything. So let's do it in this way, that we will go to 2-3 points outside of the main square, and we will be back here in 40-45 minutes, okay?
Okay.
Perfect. So let's go this way. We will see the theater, very big, beautiful one from 19th century now. So let's go this way, please. Awesome. And the first object in the building of Juliusz Słowacki Theatre. Juliusz Słowacki was one of the most important main poets in the 19th century. He used to write a lot of patriotic poems, and that's why he's still so important. We can see that the building is pretty big, pretty nice, and there is also a huge influence from Vienna, talking about the architecture. I don't know if you've been to Vienna, maybe. Some of you, yeah. So it's very similar to the palace in Vienna, right? But not architecture is the most important thing here. The most important thing here is the fact that it was built in the end of the 19th century to serve the national art. And why is it so important? The thing is that in this moment, Poland was divided into 3 parts, because it was the time of partitions of Poland when Russia, Prussia and Austro-Hungarians divided Poland into 3 pieces and occupied them. Life in each part was different. Talking, for example, about the culture, life in these parts occupied by Russians and Prussians was much harder than in this Austro-Hungarian part, because in these 2 parts, occupants didn't let Polish people speak Polish, for example, not only in some institutions like the city hall, like the universities, but it was also prohibited on the streets and sometimes in their private houses. People couldn't cultivate Polish culture there, but in this part occupied by Austro-Hungarians, and Krakow was placed in this part, talking about the culture, life was much easier, because Austro-Hungarians let Polish people speak Polish, not only in their houses or on the street, but it was possible in some universities too. People could cultivate Polish culture, make some kind of traditions, and construct this kind of the theaters when plays based on the patriotic literature and poems were played. And in this Austro-Hungarian part of Poland from that time, we have few theaters like this, but this one of Juliusz Słowacki was the biggest one, the main one, and also the most of these patriotic plays were played here. And very important thing is that tickets here were very, very cheap, almost for free, to give access to everyone, enter and have this contact with Polish culture. And after the 3rd partition of Poland, so in the 1795, Poland lost its independence for 123 years. And in this time of 123 years, Poland didn't appear on any new map all around the world, didn't exist in mentality, especially of European powers. Here we could say that Poland in this time existed probably only in the hearts of Polish people, because in every house, or almost every house, in each part occupied by other occupants, Polish people, especially the older generations, used to cultivate Polish culture in the secret way. They used to speak Polish also very often in the secret way, to teach it the younger generations and not let die this history, culture and language forever. And after the First World War, so in 1918, according to some pacts between the countries that won the war, Poland regained its independence. And here in Krakow and in the surroundings, a lot of people were very, very focused to be the part of a big process of renovation of Polish culture and history. People started to construct a lot of institutes related to the Polish history and culture and also language. On the main square there was one building where people donated money to support all these constructions and this process. If somebody had no money but had other valuable stuff like golden rings, for example, or something like this, also donated it to change it into the money and support this process in this way. Unfortunately, this time of independence, of freedom, couldn't last for a long time, because after 21 years the Second World War had started. So the situation, and in this city and in other parts of Poland, was more complicated, was worse. But about these times we will talk in the other moment of the tour. Okay, here we can add that the theater is still in use. There are still a lot of plays, not only patriotical ones, but all kinds of the plays. It's very, very popular in probably whole Poland, and it's very, very beautiful inside. They organize some kind of guided tours to see how it looks inside. It's not that easy to book it, because it's not like everyday thing, and it's also not that easy to to enter like from the street, you know. But sometimes very nice lady works on reception desk, so you can try to enter and ask her if you can visit it between the plays, because it's really, really beautiful. It looks like palace, so I would really recommend you to visit it. So you can try in this way, but please don't tell her that I'm the person who recommended to do it in this way. Okay? Yes, exactly. So do you have some questions here, maybe? If there is no questions.
I'm just wondering, is it just Polish language now that they?
Yes, yes, because here we can see the flag. Yes, that's why you ask about it.
No, just because of international influence.
Okay.
I was wondering maybe.
Yeah, unfortunately here, sometimes maybe there is the other language, but it's like we don't know even about it. So I would say that 99.99% at least, if not 100%, unfortunately in Polish. Yes. And here we've got this flag of Ukraine, because in every official building of related to the culture, related to the science in Poland, actually to show this solidarity with Ukraine after the war, we can notice a lot of flags in every city, actually, right? So that's why it's here. Mm-hmm. The side is not visible. Excursions. Please be careful, because there are a lot of people on the bicycles and they are pretty crazy here, so all schools are out of school. let's check if we are able to hear everything. Because it's very, very crowded area. It's not. I think that, yeah, I was. Can you hear me? Because there are a lot of groups and some musicians over there, but you can't hear me. Yeah, okay. So right now, we are in this place where medieval original defensive architecture still exists, and we are here next to this model because the spring trees don't allow us to see all details on the architecture. So this wall here, so this one on the model is from 14th century, and originally it was 3 kilometers long wall that surrounded whole area of medieval city of Krakow. So everything within the wall that right now we call as the old town of Krakow was medieval city of Krakow. And originally the wall had 47 watchtowers like this one. Over there we can see only the roof of one of them. Here behind the tree we have the other one. And originally it had 7 gates to the city like this one. This one is the main gate to the city of Saint Florian, and please remember it because there is a connection between this gate and the melody that is played from the Saint Mary's Basilica. And here, almost invisible because of the trees, we have the building, original building of armory. Right now is the part of the museum when you can find the painting of Leonardo da Vinci. It's hard to remember the Polish name because it's Muzeum Czartoryskich, but you can remember that it's the part of this museum with Leonardo da Vinci's painting. So if you are the fans of art, it's good recommendation for you. And behind your back or in front of you, we have this almost rounded building made of red brick. Here on the model we can see better its form. It is called the Barbican, and it was constructed here in 15th century by king that was called Jan Olbracht. He decided to make this defense stronger here in this on this northern part from the city, because originally here there was nothing, just plain area. So for the enemies it was much easier to enter the city from this side, because from the other side Krakow was defended and surrounded by natural elements like smaller rivers, swamps, so it was much harder to get into the city from other side. And the Barbican was connected with this St. Florian's Gate by so-called the neck. So it was a corridor made by 2 high walls. And here, when we have on the floor these white stones here, and in the opposite side, we have the original foundations of these walls. So everything here was very well connected, and the only entrance for the city to the city from this side was this bridge that is here. Right there, we've got it already renovated. And here, I've got a question for you. Maybe someone can find the answer in the head. What do you think? Why did they place this bridge here and, for example, not in the opposite side of the Barbican? Why this location? Does it make any specific sense? If I ask you so, probably it does, right? But what sense makes this location of the bridge? Can someone find any idea in the head?
This is to the east, west.
It's like northwest, yes, part.
Because you said there were connections with the Germans, so
No other reason, but very nice way of thinking, yes. It's not that easy to create this response, so I will help you. Most people are, and in the past also were right-handed, right? So the knights, also the enemies of Krakow, usually had their swords on the right hand and defensive shields on the left one. So entering by bridge located like this, they used to enter like this, right? So they weren't protected on the right side by any shield. And this watchman here, very close to the armory, could kill them then in the very, very easy or easiest way. Easier way. So it's some kind of the tactics of medieval warfare. Very nice way of thinking, right?
Smart.
Yes, exactly. And here I would like to explain you also why we have only this fragment of the wall. Because as we mentioned, it was 3 kilometers long wall, and right now we have only this small fragment. So here we should mention Austro-Hungarians again, because when they came to the city during partition times, they realized that this wall is not that useful anymore, because the tactics of the warfare already had changed. Moreover, Krakow couldn't grow anymore because of the borders, and they were sure that everyone who was sick in the city was sick because of lack of ventilation. So they decided to destroy the wall. They started to do it, but one day, one architect from the city entered the city hall and he said that this part of the wall and the Barbican cannot be destroyed because it's some kind of protection from very strong and cold wind from the north side. So everyone will be sick in the city without this wall. But this argument wasn't very good in opinion of the officials from Austro-Hungarian side. So he gave them another one. He said, everyone knows that at the end of this street we have Saint Mary's Church. So please imagine, gentlemen, he said, all these ladies going or leaving the church in very long dresses. So what will happen with strong wind and no wall here? Everything will go up. We will see the legs, the bodies of Krakowian women, and it's not acceptable. And they said, yeah, actually, it's a good argument, so let's leave the wall. And they just left it. Sounds ridiculous, right? Like the legend, but the funniest part of it is that it's true. We've got actually the document with a stamp with some signatures of Austro-Hungarian officials, and there we can read this reason. So sounds like miracle, right? That this argument worked here, and because of that we've got this fragment of medieval defensive architecture. And talking about the Austro-Hungarians, we can also add that this park that surrounds the old town area originally was a moat. So this defensive hall with water, but when they came here, they noticed that everyone was washing their bodies, cleaning other things inside the moat. So probably it was the source of each bacteria of the world, right? So to avoid epidemics, they decided to fill the moat, and they created this park that nowadays shows us very, very well the exact size of medieval city of Krakow and the exact location of this defensive element from medieval period. And okay, do you have here some question? Or we can feel this strong, maybe not that strong and not that with the yes. So it's for sure like it's exactly like that's nice. And it's some kind of the place where you can relax, yeah, or something like park or something like that.
To these ones here,
You can always see the man in these gloves. This man in general looks like from 17th century, right? Like whole entire, also the face and all this. So he's very, very well preserved. He's also the guide. So sometimes when you can see him around, you can ask him something. Yes, he pretends he doesn't see us. So let's go. But you can remember when you see him, you can ask. And the first part of 19th century, he used to write a lot of patriotic poems. And please remember it, I will show you 2 pictures of this monument related to the Second World War times while talking about this period, okay? So please remember, notice, and we will go back to the topic of this monument. And right now, we can turn to look the front of Basilica. activate our crew bell. Perfect, thank you. Because of the wind, I think my voice is going somewhere, right? Can you hear me? Perfect. So here we've got the St. Mary's Basilica that was the most important church in medieval Krakow. And the construction is dated to the I will read it. It was constructed in 14th century, so it's very good example of so-called Polish Gothic style. Polish because in Poland almost all Gothic buildings are made of this red brick. So if you see something similar here, it's usually 90% that it's from this period. And here we've got also some other very typical Gothic elements like this very long, tall, narrow windows, also the arches, but there is also at least one peculiar and typical element because almost every church from medieval Europe has one tower or two, but equal towers, right? And here, although we have the right tower under renovation, we can notice that it's a bit smaller than the left one, right? So here we've got very famous legends that explains in this way that in 14th century there was one brilliant architect here and he was responsible to make this church, but he had also the younger brother. So he decided to teach him how to be a good architect too. So he explained him everything related to architecture and later each one started to do his tower. So there was a small competition between two brothers and the younger one which turned out to be a very, very talented man. So the older brother was very jealous and one night he grabbed a knife and killed his brother. So according to the legend, the younger brother had no time to finish his right tower and that's why it's smaller. But according to the legend, the older brother was full of remorse. So one day he decided to climb up, he confessed aloud what he had done and he jumped from the taller tower. So he died too. So here we've got very cruel criminal story. Because truth usually is more boring, right? So people create this kind of the stories. And talking about medieval Krakow, we have a lot of criminal stories like this. This one is one of the most famous, popular ones, so that's why you have to know it. The truth here related to the different height of the towers is that in medieval period there were a lot of conflicts here and invasions. So people of power decided to make one tower taller to have better point of view. And every time there was at least one watchman inside the tower, left tower, looking around if there is no fire, no enemies or other dangerous situations. And if he noticed something like this, he started to play his melody on the trumpet to warn the city about the risky situation. And we will hear this kind of melody in 8 minutes. And this melody is very famous and popular not only in Krakow but in whole country. Every day at midday we can hear it on the official radio of Poland at midday. Yeah, I said that. So here in Krakow we can hear it actually every hour. During the day, during the night, and to each direction of the world to make it possible to everyone to listen to this melody. So we will hear it again like 4 times. And I explained you at the beginnings of the tour, and you probably heard it already, that the last sound of the melody is cut in the middle, right? It's very, very sharp because it's commemoration of a very brave hero from 14th century. Because one day, one watchman from this window noticed the army of the enemies. So he started to play this melody on the trumpet, but one very, very talented person from this army of the enemies noticed him as well, and he killed him using his arrow. The hero cut his neck, so he couldn't finish to play this melody, and that's why, to commemorate this moment of the death of the hero because he warned everyone, so Krakow was very well prepared and won this battle. It's played like this to notice this moment of his death, right? But it's also a very prestigious job. It's not easy to be this fireman, this trumpeter, because you have to play the trumpet, you have to be the fireman, and you have to be in a very good physical shape because of the staircase that is inside. We saw the window they played for the first time, so we can move a little bit to be in front of the trumpeter and now listen to it again, knowing everything related to it. Okay, so let's go there. Here we've got the audience. There are tests, like official tests, and I remember that something like 5 years ago, it was so hard to pass these tests because they are very, very hard, especially talking about this physical part, and that there were like 3 or even 4 editions of it, right? Because they couldn't, like, they had to make these expectations lower and lower every time, so it's like national test to me, yes. So you can look at the window that is up there. We have this corner of the tower. Then we have one window and the highest one. It's open. Yes? Okay. But it's a real person, right? In a very good mood, as he was waving again. And yes, that's actually the story related to the melody. We can add, talking about this basilica, that it's worth to enter and visit it inside. It's very, very beautiful too. And there is an altar, very big one, inside. Can you hear me? Just one question. Okay. So this altar is the biggest altar, talking about the 15th century altars in Europe, and there is also one story related to it and the Second World War times, because as the sculptor was Wittstosch, was the German person, Nazi people considered this altar as their cultural heritage. So during the occupation, they took it to Germany, and after the war, Polish people took it back here. So there was some kind of diplomatic battle between two countries, and entering from this side where we had the meeting point, you can see everything from the bigger distance, and you cannot take the pictures because it's the area for the prayers. You can pretend that you are a prayer and look everything without paying, but if you want to see the altar from the shorter distance and take the pictures, over there on the right side you have the other entrance you have to pay for, and you can do all this. But at the beginning, in my opinion, it's like good option to enter here and decide then if you want to pay or not, because from here you can see also in a quite big, good quality of craft market related to the craftsmen from the past and from nowadays. So you can find also a lot of souvenirs and also very typical traditional Polish food there. But we should say that usually the prices on the markets like this are a bit higher.
There's this decapitated head. A lot of decapitations during the medieval times. So this is a replica of how the head would look like.
Because he's got his nose, so he's not a person who took something from the club hole. And he has no eye. Why? Oh, what a poem! Eye, why? So that's the head of Eros, the god of love. And the artist, Igor Mitoraj, a Polish person but more famous in Italy actually, wanted to show the world his opinion that love is blind. That's why he created this head of Eros without eyes. I don't know if you are fans of Harry Potter, but some people say that, like independent people, that this courtyard, this building looks like a small version of Hogwarts. Maybe some of you are from this part of England, and you visited all these places with the but I don't remember how it was. So here we have some benches. You can sit, you can rest, and the other group will enter probably very soon. So if we can create, if you don't want to sit, if we can stand here, please, to let my voice go this way. It will make this battle of voices between the guys. Here because of the part of Jagiellonian University. That is the oldest university in Poland and one of the oldest ones in Europe. The university is still in use, but this building is not the building where professors have classes with students. It's the Museum of Jagiellonian University, when we can see, for example, some expositions related to some popular students from the past. I don't know if you have any idea who could study here in the past. We have two very famous students. One related to the sky, Copernicus, Nicolaus Copernicus, astronomer from 15th century, and here there is an exposition with his astronomical instruments and some notes related to some theories of Copernicus, and the other one related to the church. John Paul II, and so the Polish Pope, before being Pope, his name was Karol Wojtyła. And as Karol Wojtyła, he could study here, but he studied only one first year of university in the regular way. Because later, the Nazi occupation had started, so the professors created so-called flying secret university. When each class was in a different secret hidden place, like the basements of some buildings, or for example gardens full of trees, to not be captured by Nazis. So he used to study in this way mostly. Everything related to the history, culture, literature too. And here we have Karol Wojtyła mentioned, because as we mentioned, he could study in this regular way his first year in the university. And he did it here in this building, because this building is the faculty of, we can translate it as Faculty of Polish Culture and Literature. Some kind of kulturoznawstwo, this kind of thing.
And philosophy.
Too, but this one is related more about the culture, not philosophy. Next to it there is the philosophy department, because he used to study this thing, and of course theology, but in the different building, also in this part of the old town, but in other place. And here, for example, also behind your back, you have very important building, because it's Institute of Archaeology, and I used to study, so you should remember it as well. But we can see that it's nothing special in comparison to other buildings. Next to it you have beautiful history department, and this big building here is the main building of Jagiellonian University, where whole administration is placed. So let's go this way. Over there we have the stairs. We can stop there and we can talk about the Second World War times, as this university was also a very important part of the resistance during occupation times. We mentioned that this university, because Krakow is university city, there are a lot of universities, the public, the private ones, But this university was very important part of the resistance during the Second World War times, because a lot of professors, a lot of students used to participate in the secret actions against the occupants, for example. So that's why I think it's a good idea to talk about it here. And we can start with this fact that some of you already noticed that Krakow looks like the city that is completely untouched by the war, right? If we compare this city with other cities in Poland, for example, Warsaw, some of you already been there, some of you live in Warsaw, so some of you have this comparison. Warsaw is completely modern city right now. It's very hard, actually, apart from some fragments in the Old Town area, to find something older than the times after the Second World War, because the street center was bombed 4 times, and it is said that around 90% of Warsaw was completely destroyed during these times. And here, in Krakow, you have a lot of architecture from medieval period, from the past, everything original, and almost everything in a pretty good state of preservation, right? So we have a couple of reasons of this situation. Maybe you remember when during this very short historical introduction of Poland at the beginning of the tour, I told you that in 13th century, Krakow was founded on so-called Magdeburg law. These rules from Germany to create and organize modern cities in Europe. So because of that, because Magdeburg law are the rules from Germany, Nazi people were sure that Krakow since 13th century was the German city. And before the war, they decided to create here their so-called general government, their capital of the Nazi, and govern from here and control the situation during the occupation from this, let's say, in their opinion, a German city. The other very important reason is that in this time of the occupation, Krakow wasn't the capital of Poland anymore. Warsaw, since the end of the 16th century, Warsaw was the capital, so this city had no political significance. It was some kind of cultural city without very important politicians and other people of power, so it wasn't very important, very big goal for the Nazi to destroy it. But also they started to occupy all these like buildings to create their offices and things like this. They wanted to use this city as their capital. But of course, they destroyed some parts of the city. I asked you to remember the the monument of poet Adam Mickiewicz on the main square. Now I would like to show you 2 pictures of this monument from the times of Second World War times. Nazi people entered Krakow exactly on the 6th of September 1939. I will give it to you to see everything from the shorter distance, but I would like to explain what we can see in the picture. So here we can see the original form of this monument of Adam Mickiewicz, this poet, and the Nazi person on the ladder destroying, pushing this monument. And the second picture shows us the results of this destruction. So you can take it and please give it to the rest of participants then. So every monument like this that commemorated, for example, very important people from the history, from the culture of Poland. Also monuments related to some battles, good ones for the Polish side, were completely destroyed by Nazi people after their arrival. So after the war, Polish people started to make renovations or copies of all these monuments. So right now, walking here in this area of the Old Town and in the surroundings, you can see just the copies of all these monuments. There is only one exception, because Nazi people didn't destroy the monument of Copernicus, because his grandmother, 4 generations before Copernicus, was a German. So they considered him as a German too, so that's why they didn't destroy his monument. They just changed the localization, the location. So at the beginning, originally it was placed in the central part of this courtyard of university we just left, and right now it's placed something like maybe 70-80 meters behind this building. So walking through the park, you can see this only original monument from the past. Nazi people also started to destroy, to change, sorry, a lot of elements in the city. They started to change, for example, the names of the most important places and spaces. Here, for example, we can see some Nazi soldiers. In the background, we can see this tower of the city hall from 14th century. We can see some flags with swastikas and the board with new name of the main square, that was Adolf Hitler Platz. So they started to use the names of most important, more powerful Nazi people to show the world that it's not Polish city anymore. It's not even the German city, but it's the city of the Nazi, right? Yes, like here we can also see, because you can see this symbol in some places in the city, because it's the main symbol of the city that shows us the main gate of Saint Florian, and they also place here the swastika to show that it's the city of the Nazi people, not the German people, and not the Polish people anymore. If you are interested in this topic of the Second World War time, because in every Polish city it's like very, very wide topic actually, I can recommend you, and I invite you of course, to the tour of the Jewish quarter and the ghetto that we do like every day at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. because, well, this tour of the Jewish quarter and the ghetto is related to the entire history of the Jewish community, their practices, traditions too, but most of it is related to the occupation times. Because during this tour we are more focused on the beginnings of the city, of the country, on the medieval period, as here in the area of the Old Town we mostly have these buildings from this period, and we will see only one building so related to the Nazi occupation, because when Hans Frank, the right hand of Hitler, entered Krakow, he announced that since this moment he will be the king of Poland. And as a king of Poland, he should have his place where all Polish kings are placed. And as almost every Polish king that used to govern from here till the end of the 16th century, because till these times Krakow was the capital of Poland, are buried in the Cathedral of Wawel, he constructed his so-called by Nazi castle of Hans Frank, something like 10, maybe 13 meters aside of the chapels with royal tombs inside them. So we will see this building, but unfortunately it will be the only so related to this time place, related to these times. So if you have any question, I used to talk with people that were sitting on the grass area here behind the wall. So that's the place, the square. This part of park is related to him, and that's why we have so many elements related to Polish folk. And let's go this way. Yeah, but talking about the castle, I think that two parts of the castle are also like to be visited, and also the cathedral is very nice. Although if somebody is not a fan of this architecture, like church art and this kind of thing, I think it's beautiful anyway. There is a person on the yes. So we are already in front of the castle, and I would like to explain you one thing from this spot, because we have better view to this wall in front of us. Just be careful. This wall is commemoration of very important and big action of renovation of the Wawel Hill in 20th century after the First World War, because in this moment there was no money in Poland. But the Wawel Hill really needed to be renovated. So the main architect from Krakow announced if there is a person or some kind of organization who can and wants to make donation, will be commemorated here on the wall of the castle forever. And though the minimum of donation was set, and it was a huge amount of money, like millions of zlotys, so over 6,000 donations were made, and that's why the state of preservation is very good for nowadays. And also, we have there like the mix of many countries. We have, for example, people from England, people from France, from United States, from Argentina, from Brazil, from Netherlands. So yeah, I'm really glad that you participated in my tour, so it was a pleasure. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, and enjoy your visit here. Thank you. Bye bye. Yes. So here, do we have someone from New York, maybe? They, no. Okay, but the first line, we can see Edith Brown from New York, but no. Okay, so let's search some other country cities. Person from Warsaw. So I found one connection because we have Warsaw here and we have one person from Warsaw. So here we got the bank from Warsaw. So the city, your city is mentioned here. Let's go up there. If somebody finds the city, the country where live or in the surroundings of your countries, your cities, you can let us know. So we will know better protect, right? So that's why this area of the castle is outside of the main city, what can be surprising a little bit. And right now we are in front of the cathedral of the Babel area, and we can notice a lot of architectonical styles, right? Each part of it is actually like from the other period. And that's true because this cathedral was constructed since year 1000 exactly till the end of the 16th century. Because every person of power and later every royal family really wanted to commemorate their family and their time. So they started to add the new parts of it without distraction of the previous parts. That's why we have this mix of the styles here. One of the most difficult surnames probably to pronounce. And what is interesting, he has never been to Australia. Traveler, right? To commemorate him, he named him. Yes, exactly.
Magnolia tutaj.
Proszę?
Magnolia już przekwitła, ale pewnie kwitła bardzo pięknie.
Pięknie, tutaj jest te początki takie wiosny, tu jest cudownie, można siedzieć i się wpatrywać po prostu na snow. Tak. Pachnie przepięknie. So here we can see the side of the cathedral. That is probably one of the most popular views here in the city. In every second postcard from Krakow, you can see this side of the cathedral, because here we've got these chapels that are outside of the building. So seems that the most interesting and important is this chapel with golden couple. This is the real gold, and this chapel was constructed here in 16th century to bury Bona Sforza, this Italian woman from nobility that married Sigismund the Old, Polish king. And in each chapel there is the other royal family buried. And when we have this pretty big building of cream yellowish color here, that was this so-called by Nazi castle of Hans Frank. So we can see that it's something like 10-12 meters aside of the chapels with royal tombs, right? His tomb is not inside because he left Poland before the war had ended, so he's buried in Germany, but the building stayed, so it's not original part of the Wawel's Hill. And this building behind your back is not original either. This big building of red brick was the hospital from 19th century made by Austro-Hungarians. So these two buildings are not original parts of the castle, but from this spot we can see also the oldest part of the hill, which is this part full of grass, flowers and other plants in front of us, called Vanda. And everybody here was happy and safe, but one day, nobody knew why and where from, but huge dragon appeared here and started to eat young, small girls. So King was very worried, and he announced, if there is a knight that can kill the beast, will marry Vanda in the future, and whole gold of the castle will be his gold. So every knight from these territories tried to kill the beast, but of course dragon ate all of them. So the king was very worried. He was thinking what to do, but had no idea. Vanda couldn't leave the castle to survive. And when everyone was thinking what to do, a very young shoemaker appeared here, and he said that he knows the solution. He asked for a sheep, for a lamb. He cut a belly of animal, putting there a lot of explosive materials. And during the night, he put this lamb in front of the cave of the dragon that is down there when we have this huge figure of the dragon. And when dragon woke up, of course, ate this animal. And huge fire appeared in his stomach. So he was suffering a lot, nothing could help him. So in one moment, he decided to jump into Vistula river that is in front of his cave, and he started to drink the water. So he was drinking, and in one moment he was that full of the water that it was a huge explosion of the dragon. And that's how young shoemaker killed the beast. Of course, he married Vanda in the future. He started to be the ruler of these territories, and everyone was happy and safe again. And here we've got very important moral that we don't have to be very strong, powerful people to solve the problems, right? We just have to use our heads, and we actually can solve everything. So because of this moral, this legend is told to every kid, especially in Krakow, but in other parts of Poland too. Everybody knows it. Krakow is full of dragons, and it's one of the most important and famous symbols of the city. And with this story of the dragon, with this legend, and with this moral here, unfortunately we finish our tour, so thank you very much for participation.
This is Nicholas Copernicus statue, the one who theorized that sun is in the center and the planets revolve around it. From Poland.